C.S. Lewis's book, The Great Divorce, isn't just about eternity and the afterlife. It's about the choices that we make today that echo into eternity. And we as Americans are unfortunately headed to a great divorce of our own, one from God and meaning and purpose. Let's look into it.
They're trying to convince them. They're trying to lure them into heaven. So that's the drama of the book. He calls them the ghosts of hell meet the spirits of heaven.
My name is Casey. I'm the Rumble Right Dad, and I established this channel to try to speak truth into a culture which is divorcing itself from God, meaning purpose, and everything else that might bring us joy and bring my kids a better future and a better tomorrow. I've been a therapist for 13 years, a father for nearly 10, and I am concerned that this book, The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, is more of a prediction than it is a warning about the afterlife. Let's see if we're actually divorcing ourselves today. So as the Great Divorce plays out in real time in our American culture today, I've listed 4 ways that we have begun the process of disiluding ourselves into a separation from God, and they are indicated in not just culture, but also in politics. Here's some of the benchmarks of that divorce.
Slimy creature. And the creature is whispering in his ear, telling him things. Over to him comes this great angel, a great angelic spirit. And the guy kind of pulls back from the angel. And the angel looks at the reptile. And he brings his hands near it like this. And he says, "May I kill it?"
The first way that we have divorced ourselves from God and from the meaning and the eternal purpose that comes out of our relationship with Him is the Obergefell case, in which we began to push the family into a category that's unrecognizable by biblical structures. For the last 2,000 years, Obergefell began to wipe that away as marriage was redefined. The second way that we have begun the divorce from God is the divorce from truth through the COVID era. Now, listen, we can barely speak about this online nowadays, which shows a great reversal of what the political forces were trying to do to us. But we were told so many untruths, and in fact, that truth didn't even matter, because whether the masks worked or other interventions like the jabs worked or not, we were still being told, just do what we say, not necessarily what's true. And when we operate on a lie and then we obfuscate what the truth actually is to an entire culture, we began to just accept that we weren't getting the whole picture, and that was just okay with us. And to be frank, the church is closed, which was one of the great crimes against not just God's people, but the church was complicit in trying to just go with the flow and the government structures and the liberal world order, instead of opening the doors and flipping the bird to the establishment. The third way that we're divorcing ourselves from God is the idol of the self. Now, in my reading through the Old Testament, there's just so many instances where God's people presented the idols, worshipped idols, and they quite literally, made sacrifices to idols. And we are quite literally doing that today. As the front-facing camera phone came about in the early 2010s, we have begun to project everything that we think, do, and feel inwardly. And we're mirroring our thoughts, feelings, even our worst struggles onto an internet which incentivizes the most dramatic things possible. And so we've gotten likes, shares, comments, and yes, subscriptions in a way that has been incentivizing bad behavior, because that's what gets the most attention. And so the self has been the God of the 2010s and beyond. And one of the last ways that we are presenting our modern era as a harbinger to what was shared in C.S. Lewis's work, The Great Divorce, is that we are beginning to worship violence for political purposes. Now, I know what you're thinking, and this didn't happen in the month of January. It, in fact, happened during the Summer of Love in 2020, in which we said, well, if violence is for the right political reasons, then it's completely acceptable in our culture, and people ran with it. Seattle had blocks taken over by Chaz Chop, along with a great many cities that gave into violence during that summer. And we were told that, well, it's for the right reasons, so we just have to go with it. And since that time, not just because we were locked down and there was pent up aggression, and as a therapist, I have not seen the recovery from the COVID era. And it was quite frankly avoidable, it was foreseeable, and it was a crime that we allowed these things to take place, not just in our country, but in the entirety of the Western world. You know who didn't shut down their entire society? Africa. Other places that, quite frankly, didn't suffer the same consequences, because part of what we gave ourselves wasn't just a disease and a virus that you can get by sneezing on people, but a disease of the mind. And we have become a society that worships that type of mindset, that if the liberal world order tells you to, you're just going to do it because that's for the right reasons. And it doesn't matter even if it's a crime against your fellow man or against the culture itself.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Lewis shows that heaven and hell are trajectories, not just destinations. Every cultural divorce from family, from truth, from God, pulls us further into the gray city. And the danger isn't that God slams the door on us, it's that we lock the door ourselves from the inside. Lewis was right. The doors of hell are locked from within. Our society is busy locking them through abortion, through self-worship, through lies, through the rejection of God's design. But you and I still have a choice. We can follow the culture into the gray nothingness, or we can turn, repent, and step into the solemn, radiant reality of God. The great divorce isn't a fantasy, it's prophecy, and we're living it now. If you believe we need to support each other in a world that's burning down, please like, share, and subscribe so that we can fight the good fight for faith, freedom, and fatherhood together, and quite frankly, against the liberal world order that has taken us asunder.